Hi guys, today we are going to tell you a history that stretches back farther than memory, farther than cities, farther even than language itself. A story that began long before houses had walls, before fires had names, before the night felt safe. This is the story of humans, dogs, and cats, and how three very different species slowly, quietly, and almost accidentally became bound together. Tonight there will be no rushing, no sharp turns, only a slow journey through deep time. So take a breath, settle in, and let the world grow quiet. Long before humans built homes, long before we planted seeds in the soil or carved symbols into stone, we were wanderers. We moved with the seasons, following herds, following water, following the subtle rhythms of the land. The world was vast, dark, and unpredictable. At night the fire flickered weakly against the cold. Beyond its glow, shadows moved, eyes watched. Humans were not the strongest creatures in this world. We were not the fastest, nor the largest, nor the most heavily armed. What we had instead was awareness and fear. Every sound in the darkness mattered. A snapping twig, a distant howl, the sudden silence of insects. Survival depended on noticing danger before it noticed you. And it was in this fragile space between fear and curiosity that the first bond was formed, not with cats, not yet, but with wolves. Wolves were not monsters, they were not villains, they were families. They hunted together, raised their young together, protected one another, and communicated in ways humans could recognize even if we did not yet understand them. Wolves watched humans from a distance. They noticed something important. Where humans went, there was food, leftover bones, discarded meat, carcasses too large for humans to finish. Some wolves were bolder than others. Some crept closer to the edges of human camps, lingering just beyond the firelight. The most aggressive wolves were chased away or killed. But the calmer ones, the quieter ones, the ones who did not bare their teeth or rush forward, they stayed, night after night, generation after generation. And slowly something remarkable began to happen. Humans began to notice the wolves too, not as threats, but as warnings. Wolves had sharper senses. They heard danger sooner. They smelled predators long before humans could. When wolves stiffened, humans stiffened. When wolves growled, humans reached for weapons. Without planning it, without intending it, humans and wolves began protecting each other. A silent agreement formed. You watch the darkness, we share the fire. This was not domestication in the way we usually imagine it. No ropes, no cages, no commands. It was cooperation, and cooperation changes bodies. The wolves who stayed near humans grew less fearful. Their jaws softened, their faces changed, their eyes lingered on human expressions. Over thousands of years, their descendants were no longer wolves. They were something new. Dogs. Dogs did not simply live near humans. They moved with us. When humans migrated, dogs followed. When humans crossed frozen plains, dogs crossed beside them. When humans slept, dogs curled close, sharing warmth, guarding dreams. Dogs learned to read human gestures, a pointed finger, a glance, a tone of voice. Humans in turn learned to read dogs, a raised ear, a stiff tail, a low growl in the dark. This bond shaped both species. Dogs evolved to understand humans better than any other animal ever would. And humans evolved alongside dogs, becoming more effective hunters, more alert sleepers, more confident travelers. By the time humans began spreading across continents, dogs were already there. Side by side, this was not a pet relationship. This was a partnership. Thousands of years passed. Ice ages came and went. Land bridges appeared and disappeared. Humans and dogs adapted together, but the world was changing. Humans were slowly becoming less nomadic. They lingered longer in certain places. They discovered that seeds could be planted, that grain could be stored, that animals could be kept rather than chased. Fires burned in the same places year after year, and with food storage came an unexpected problem. rodents. Mice and rats swarmed grain stores, chewing through supplies, spreading disease, threatening survival in a new way. Dogs were hunters, yes, but they were large, noisy, and not well suited for catching small, quick creatures inside tight spaces. And that is when another pair of eyes began watching humans. Smaller eyes, quieter eyes, watching not from the darkness beyond the fire, but from the edges of the village. Wildcats were solitary creatures. They did not travel in packs. They did not seek cooperation, but they were excellent hunters, silent, precise, efficient. When humans began storing food, rodents followed. And where rodents gathered, cats appeared. Unlike wolves, cats did not approach humans directly. They did not seek companionship. They hunted. Humans noticed the difference quickly. Grain stores survived longer. Diseases spread less rapidly. The night felt calmer. Cats were not invited in. They were tolerated, and tolerance over time became acceptance. Cats did not change themselves for humans. They did not soften in the same way dogs did. They remained independent, choosing when to stay and when to leave. This was a different kind of relationship, not partnership, not obedience, but coexistence. By the time humans began building true settlements, dogs were already deeply woven into human life. They guarded livestock, they defended homes, they accompanied hunters, they slept among families. Cats, meanwhile, slipped quietly into human spaces. They lay near doorways, on rooftops, in barns. They asked for nothing. They simply stayed as long as it suited them. Humans accepted this arrangement. In some places, cats were seen as useful, in others, mysterious, in a few cultures, sacred. But that reverence had not yet fully formed, not yet, because before cats would be worshipped, before dogs would become symbols of loyalty and devotion, human civilization itself still had to rise. Cities had to be built, gods had to be named, stories had to be told. And it is there, at the edge of the ancient world, that our story will continue. For now the fire burns low. Dogs sleep close, ears twitching at distant sounds. Cats linger in the shadows, watching quietly, waiting. And humanity stands between them, unaware of how deeply these bonds will shape the future. This is where part 1 ends, and when we return, we will step into the first great civilizations, where animals were no longer just companions, but symbols, guardians, and gods. And so, as the firelight fades and the first villages take shape, our story moves forward. Humans are no longer only wanderers now. They are builders. They return to the same places season after season, then year after year. Mud hardens into walls, paths become roads, names are given to places, and with permanence comes memory. Dogs remain close just as they always have. They know these humans. They know their voices, their smells, their rhythms. They patrol the edges of villages, warning of strangers, predators, and threats from beyond the fields. Cats, meanwhile, slip more deeply into human spaces. They move through narrow alleys, along rooftops, into granaries and storerooms. They hunt silently while humans sleep. They leave no mess, no noise. Humans begin to notice something subtle. Where cats live, order remains. Grain lasts longer. Illness spreads less quickly. The night feels balanced. And balance matters deeply to early civilizations. As the first great societies rise along rivers and fertile plains, animals are no longer just creatures of utility. They become symbols. Stories are told about them. Beliefs grow around them. They begin to appear in art, carvings, and ritual objects. Dogs and cats take very different paths through this new world of meaning. Dogs are seen as guardians. They guard the living. They guard the dead. They guard the boundary between safety and chaos. In many early cultures, dogs are buried with humans not as property, but as companions meant to continue their role beyond death. Graves are found where a human skeleton lies beside a dog, positioned carefully, deliberately. This is not coincidence, this is respect. Cats, on the other hand, become something stranger. They are not just hunters, they are not just protectors of food, they are watchers. Their eyes reflect firelight. They move between darkness and warmth without hesitation. They seem to exist comfortably in spaces humans find unsettling, between day and night, between wild and domestic, between presence and absence. And nowhere is this more evident than in ancient Egypt. In Egypt, cats are not merely tolerated, they are revered. To harm a cat is considered a serious crime. To kill one even accidentally can result in severe punishment. Cats are associated with protection, fertility, and harmony. They are believed to guard homes not only from pests but from unseen forces. Families mourn cats as they would mourn relatives. Cats are mummified, wrapped carefully, and buried with ceremony. This level of devotion is unmatched anywhere else in the ancient world, yet even here, cats are not controlled. They are free to come and go. They sit beside humans, not beneath them. Dogs in Egypt hold importance too, but in a different way. They are associated with loyalty and guidance. They guard homes. They accompany hunters. They appear in art wearing collars, some inscribed with names, but they do not reach the same divine status as cats. In Egypt, cats belong to the sacred realm, dogs belong to the practical one, and this contrast will repeat itself across cultures. In Mesopotamia, dogs are healers. Statues of dogs are placed beneath doorways to ward off illness and evil spirits. They are seen as protectors of thresholds, the spaces where danger enters. In ancient Greece, dogs symbolize faithfulness and vigilance. They guard temples, they guard philosophers, they guard the dead in myth and story. Cats, meanwhile, remain quieter figures in much of the ancient world. They exist, they hunt, they live alongside humans, but they do not dominate mythology everywhere. They do not demand attention. They wait. As civilizations grow larger, so do the roles of dogs. Dogs pull sleds. Dogs herd animals. Dogs fight alongside soldiers. War dogs charge ahead. In peace, they sleep at their humans' feet. They are trained, named, praised. They learn commands. They respond to human emotions. Their devotion becomes unmistakable. When danger comes, dogs stay. When humans fall, dogs remain beside them. Stories spread of dogs waiting years for owners who never return, of dogs refusing food after a master's death. These stories persist because they are observed again and again. Dogs do not simply live near humans, they attach to them. Deeply, cats do not behave this way. They do not wait endlessly at doorways. They do not throw themselves between humans and danger. And yet they stay, they curl up near warmth, they return to familiar homes, they recognize human voices. Their attachment is subtle, selective. Cats choose, and that choice in many ways makes their presence feel more mysterious. When a cat stays, it is because it wants to. As the ancient world gives way to empires, trade routes spread cats across continents. Sailors carry cats on ships to protect food stores. Merchants welcome them into warehouses. Cats travel without complaint. They adapt easily. Soon they appear in places they were never native to, quietly spreading. Dogs, too, spread, but with purpose. They are bred for tasks. Guard dogs, herding dogs, hunting dogs. Humans shape dogs intentionally now. Their bodies change. Their sizes vary dramatically. Their roles become specialized. Dogs become reflections of human needs. Cats remain mostly unchanged. Their form stays remarkably consistent. Agile, balanced, efficient. They do not need improvement. Then comes the medieval world, and with it fear of disease, fear of darkness, fear of the unknown. Dogs remain largely trusted. They guard castles. They protect livestock. They remain symbols of loyalty. Cats, however, face suspicion in some cultures. Their independence unsettles people. Their nocturnal habits appear unnatural. In certain regions, cats become associated with superstition and fear. And yet, even in these times, cats do not disappear. They remain too useful, too effective. They survive persecution and misunderstanding, because wherever humans store food, cats are needed. As centuries pass, humans begin to change their relationship with animals once again. Dogs move from fields and guard posts into homes. They become companions rather than tools. They sit beside hearths. They sleep indoors. Cats, already accustomed to living near humans, slip even further into domestic life. They nap on furniture, they claim windowsills. Neither species leaves, they simply adjust. By the time the modern world begins to take shape, the bond is no longer just practical, it is emotional. Humans speak to dogs as if they understand, and dogs respond. Humans share their homes with cats, and cats accept on their own terms. Dogs seek approval. Cats seek comfort, dogs look outward. Cats look inward, and humans find space for both. This long journey has shaped every side of the relationship. Dogs have become deeply entwined with human identity. They mirror us, they read us, they depend on us. Cats have remained themselves. They have not bent, they have not reshaped their nature. They have simply walked beside humanity, close enough to touch, far enough to remain free. And so we arrive at a turning point, a moment where the ancient world fades and the modern one begins. Where animals are no longer gods or omens or tools alone, but companions. Cities grow taller, trade routes stretch farther, ideas move faster than armies ever could, and quietly, almost unnoticed, the roles of dogs and cats begin to shift once again. As societies grow more complex, humans begin to divide their lives into spaces. There is work and there is home. There is public life and there is private life. For thousands of years, animals had lived mostly in the shared spaces of survival: fields, camps, granaries, roads. Now slowly they begin crossing a new boundary. They enter the home not just as helpers, but as companions. Dogs are the first to make this transition fully. They have already learned to live in close emotional proximity to humans. They already seek direction, approval, and reassurance. As homes become more permanent, dogs adapt easily. They lie near fireplaces. They follow humans from room to room. They learn routines: waking times, meal times, rest times. Dogs begin to associate specific humans with safety and belonging, not a group, not a village, but individuals. This marks a profound shift. For the first time, dogs are no longer bonded primarily to a community. They are bonded to people: a child, a farmer, a soldier, a traveler. Dogs wait at doors. They listen for footsteps. They recognize faces even after long absences. Their devotion becomes personal, and humans notice. They begin to speak of dogs not as animals, but as friends. Cats enter homes differently. They do not follow, they arrive. A cat slips through a door left open, jumps onto a windowsill, sleeps near warmth. If the environment suits them, they stay. If it does not, they leave. Cats do not reorganize themselves around humans. Instead, they invite humans to adjust. A chair becomes a sleeping place. A shelf becomes territory. A lap becomes optional, and humans surprisingly comply. As literacy spreads, humans begin writing more about animals, not just in myths, but in personal records. Letters mention dogs waiting faithfully. Diaries describe cats keeping quiet company through long nights. Poems are written, stories are told. Dogs are praised for loyalty, courage, sacrifice. Cats are described as mysterious, calming, strange, and comforting. Two very different emotional roles are forming. Dogs become symbols of devotion. They represent faithfulness, protection, unconditional presence in times of war. Dogs serve as messengers and guards. They follow soldiers into danger. They do not abandon wounded humans. Stories spread of dogs refusing to leave battlefields where their humans fell. These stories are remembered because they are real. Dogs do not question the bond. Once formed, it is permanent. Cats become symbols of domestic peace. They are not drawn to crowds or chaos. They thrive in quiet corners, sunlit rooms, steady routines. They appear during moments of stillness. They sit beside humans who are reading, thinking, grieving. They do not demand attention. They offer presence. For humans navigating increasingly stressful, crowded worlds, this matters deeply. As centuries pass, selective breeding of dogs intensifies. Humans deliberately shape dogs for specific traits: speed, strength, gentleness, alertness. Dogs become remarkably diverse. Some are large enough to guard estates, others small enough to sit comfortably in a lap. This diversity allows dogs to integrate into every level of society. Kings keep dogs, peasants keep dogs, nomads keep dogs, dogs belong everywhere. Cats remain relatively unchanged. Their bodies stay efficient. Their hunting instincts remain sharp. Humans do not reshape cats in the same way, perhaps because they do not need to. Cats already fit perfectly into their role. Or perhaps because cats resist being shaped. They tolerate humans, but they do not surrender control. With the rise of science and observation, humans begin to study animal behavior more carefully. They notice something striking. Dogs seek human approval even when no reward is offered. A dog will obey a command simply to please. Dogs watch human faces closely. They respond to tone, expression, mood. Dogs appear to care deeply about human emotional states. Cats behave differently. Cats form bonds, yes, but selectively. They prefer familiarity. They recognize individual humans. They respond to gentle treatment, but they do not exist for human approval. They exist alongside it. As urban life expands, dogs face new challenges: crowded streets, noise, restrictions. Yet dogs adapt. They learn leash walking. They tolerate crowds. They remain attentive to humans even amid chaos. Their flexibility strengthens the bond. Cats, in contrast, thrive indoors. They find vertical spaces, quiet corners, predictable routines. As apartments replace open land, cats flourish. They require less space, less supervision, less structure. They fit naturally into dense human environments. By the time the modern era arrives, dogs and cats occupy distinct emotional roles. Dogs become outward-facing companions. They encourage movement, interaction, exploration. They pull humans into the world. Cats become inward-facing companions. They encourage rest. Reflection, stillness. They pull humans inward. Neither replaces the other. They complement. Humans begin to recognize something deeper. Dogs and cats are not just animals living near us. They shape our emotional lives. A dog greets its human with joy after absence, reinforcing belonging. A cat settles nearby during quiet moments, reinforcing calm. These interactions affect mental well-being. Even before science names it, humans feel it. Loneliness eases. Anxiety softens. Grief becomes bearable. In times of crisis, dogs prove their devotion repeatedly. They search rubble. They guide the blind. They detect danger humans cannot sense. They work tirelessly, often without understanding why. They simply respond to human need. This reinforces a long-held truth. Dogs are devoted not because they are trained to be, but because they evolved to be. Cats contribute differently. They reduce stress through presence. Their purring has a calming effect. Their routines bring predictability. Their independence reassures humans that affection does not require constant attention. Cats teach humans something subtle, that companionship does not always mean action. Sometimes it means sharing space. As pets become family members, humans begin to project emotions onto them. Dogs are seen as joyful, loyal, forgiving. Cats are seen as aloof, intelligent, selective. These perceptions shape how humans interact with them. But beneath the stereotypes lies biology shaped by thousands of years of coexistence. Dogs evolved to attach deeply. Cats evolved to coexist flexibly. By now, the question naturally arises: Who is closer to humans? The answer depends on how closeness is defined. Dogs align themselves with human lives. They adapt their schedules, emotions, and behaviors to human presence. Cats allow humans into their lives but do not reorganize themselves around them. Dogs follow, cats remain. Both forms of closeness are real, but they feel different. Throughout history, humans have repeatedly turned to dogs during moments of danger and uncertainty. Dogs guard camps, dogs guard borders, dogs guard hearts. Cats have been turned to during moments of rest and recovery. Cats curl beside the sick, the grieving, the tired. They do not fix problems, they soften them. As modern science begins to study attachment, it confirms what humans have sensed for millennia. Dogs release bonding hormones when interacting with humans. Their brains respond to human faces similarly to how human brains respond to loved ones. Cats also bond, but in subtler ways. They recognize voices, they remember kindness, they seek familiar humans during stress, but they do not flood themselves with attachment in the same way. This difference is not a flaw, it is simply evolution. As the world grows louder and faster, the presence of animals becomes even more important. Dogs remind humans of connection. Cats remind humans of calm. Both offer something humans increasingly lack, and so here we are, standing firmly in the modern world, surrounded by technology, speed, and noise, yet still sharing our lives with two ancient companions whose paths diverged long ago. One walked beside us from the wild, one joined us when we built homes, one bound itself to us completely, one chose to stay free. Humans now live surrounded by walls, screens, schedules, and artificial light. The wilderness that once pressed in from all sides has been pushed far away, reduced to memories, parks, and distant landscapes. Yet something essential remains unchanged. The human nervous system is still the same one that once listened for danger in the dark, the same one that once relied on other creatures to survive. And it is here, in this quiet contradiction between modern life and ancient biology, that the bond with dogs and cats reveals its deepest meaning. For dogs, devotion was never a choice. It was written into their evolution. From the earliest days beside human campfires, dogs survived by paying attention to humans. The wolves who watched humans most closely were the ones who thrived. Those who ignored human signals did not remain. Over thousands of generations, this attention transformed into attachment. Dogs do not simply notice humans. They care. They track human emotions instinctively. They respond to sadness with closeness. They react to fear with alertness. Even without training, dogs seek alignment. They look to humans for cues, for reassurance, for belonging. This behavior is not taught, it is inherited. When a dog follows a human from room to room, it is not curiosity, it is connection. When a dog waits at a door for hours, it is not confusion, it is loyalty. Dogs anchor themselves emotionally to humans in the same way human children attach to caregivers. This is not metaphor, it is biology. Their brains release bonding chemicals during eye contact with humans. Their stress levels decrease when near familiar people. Their sense of safety is tied directly to human presence. For dogs, humans are not just companions, they are family. Cats follow a different path. Their ancestors survived alone. They hunted solo. They relied on stealth, not cooperation. They did not need social structures to thrive. When cats entered human settlements, they did not do so because they needed humans emotionally. They did so because the environment was favorable, food was abundant, shelter was reliable, threats were fewer. Cats adapted without surrendering independence, and because of this, their bond with humans developed differently. Cats form attachments slowly. They observe first, they watch how humans move, speak, behave. They test trust in small ways, approaching briefly, retreating, returning again. When a cat chooses to bond, it is deliberate. They remember kindness, they recognize routines, they notice consistency. Cats do not attach to humans because they must, they attach because they decide to. And once that decision is made, the bond can be deep, but it is quiet. A cat does not announce devotion, it shows it through presence, by sleeping nearby, by returning to the same person repeatedly, by choosing the same lap, the same room, the same quiet corner. Cats do not follow humans everywhere, but they stay close when it matters, when humans are ill, when they are grieving, when the house grows still. This is not indifference, it is a different language of care. As humans became increasingly aware of emotional health, these differences began to matter more. Dogs became companions for action. They encouraged movement, routine, connection with the outside world. A dog needs walks. In needing walks, dogs pull humans out of isolation. They force engagement with daylight, weather, other people. Dogs give humans structure, purpose, responsibility. Cats offer something else. They offer permission to rest. Cats do not require constant engagement. They do not need validation. They are content simply existing. Their presence communicates something subtle, that it is acceptable to be still. That comfort does not always require effort. That silence can be shared. In a world increasingly defined by pressure and performance, this presence becomes profoundly therapeutic. Over time, humans begin to choose dogs or cats not just based on preference, but on need. Those seeking companionship, routine, and emotional feedback often gravitate toward dogs. Those seeking calm, quiet understanding often gravitate toward cats. Neither choice is accidental. Both reflect something internal. As modern science advances, it begins to confirm what humans have intuitively felt. Dogs respond strongly to human emotional states. They experience distress when humans are distressed. They seek closeness when humans are sad. Their loyalty is not abstract, it is active. Cats, on the other hand, reduce stress simply by being present. Their purring vibrates at frequencies associated with healing and relaxation. Their predictable routines create stability. Their independence reassures humans that affection does not require constant performance. The question of devotion often arises. Who is more devoted? Dogs clearly demonstrate devotion through behavior. They wait, they protect, they sacrifice. History is filled with accounts of dogs staying beside injured owners, refusing food, remaining at grave sites. These stories persist because they are witnessed repeatedly. Dogs do not abandon bonds easily. For them, attachment is permanent. Cats express devotion differently. They do not sacrifice themselves recklessly. They do not seek danger, but they return. They choose familiarity over novelty. They seek trusted humans during vulnerability. Their devotion is expressed through consistency, through staying, through choosing the same human again and again. This form of devotion is quieter but no less real. When humans compare dogs and cats, they often mistake expression for depth. Dogs display emotion openly. Cats conceal it. But concealment is not absence, it is simply restraint. Over thousands of years, humans have shaped dogs deliberately. We bred them to guard, herd, retrieve, comfort. Dogs became reflections of human intention. Cats resisted this shaping. They remained largely unchanged. Their form, instincts, and behavior stayed close to their wild ancestors. This resistance preserved their independence, and with it, a different kind of companionship. As humans grew increasingly disconnected from nature, animals became emotional bridges to something older. Dogs connect humans to movement, purpose, and social bonds. Cats connect humans to stillness, observation, and patience. Both reconnect humans to instincts modern life often suppresses. In moments of crisis, dogs rush forward, they intervene, they act. In moments of exhaustion, cats remain close. They wait, they endure. Both responses are valuable, both are needed. The question of who came first is simple. Dogs did. They walked beside humans tens of thousands of years before cats ever approached settlements. They shaped human survival. They changed how humans hunted, traveled, and slept. Without dogs, early human history would look very different. The question of who stayed closest is also clear. Dogs integrated themselves into every part of human life: work, travel, conflict, home. They evolved alongside humans in a shared journey. Cats remained adjacent, close but not merged, but the question of who humans loved more is more complex because love is not singular. In ancient Egypt, cats were revered. In warrior cultures, dogs were honored. In homes, both found space. Love adapted to context. As humans move deeper into the modern age, the distinctions between dogs and cats become less about usefulness and more about emotional compatibility. People choose companions who reflect their inner needs. The restless choose dogs, the contemplative choose cats, some choose both, because some people need both movement and stillness. In this way, dogs and cats have become mirrors. They reflect different aspects of humanity. Dogs reflect our need for connection, loyalty, and shared purpose. Cats reflect our need for autonomy, comfort, and quiet understanding. Neither dominates, neither replaces the other. As night falls in the modern world, the ancient pattern repeats. Dogs settle near their humans, alert but relaxed. Cats find warm places nearby, present but undemanding. The fire has changed. It is electric now, but the instinct remains. Humans sleep more easily when animals are near, because somewhere deep in the mind, safety is still shared. This bond did not form overnight. It was not planned. It was not designed. It emerged slowly across thousands of years, shaped by survival, proximity, and trust. Dogs gave themselves fully. Cats offered themselves partially. Humans accepted both. Human life accelerates. Machines replace muscle. Cities grow upward instead of outward. Nights glow with artificial light and silence becomes rare. Yet through all of this movement and noise, dogs and cats remain, not unchanged, but adapting as they always have. The industrial age reshapes daily life. Humans leave homes for long hours. Work becomes separated from family. Time becomes measured, scheduled, divided. This shift challenges the ancient bonds humans share with animals. Dogs, who evolved alongside humans in constant proximity, feel this change immediately. They wait, they listen for familiar footsteps, they lie near doors and windows, they remain alert long after the house grows quiet. For dogs, separation is difficult. Their devotion, once a survival advantage, now creates vulnerability. They do not understand clocks, they understand absence. And yet, when humans return, dogs forgive instantly. No resentment, no memory of neglect, only relief, only joy. Cats respond differently. They adjust their routines. They sleep more during absence. They patrol their territory. They find comfort in familiarity rather than presence. For cats, space is not abandonment, it is neutrality. When humans return, cats acknowledge them, but without urgency. They have not been waiting, they have been existing. This difference becomes more noticeable as human schedules grow more fragmented. As homes become smaller and more crowded, dogs and cats face new challenges. Dogs must learn restraint, they must tolerate confined spaces. Noise, crowds, they rely heavily on human guidance to navigate this world. Cats, by contrast, thrive vertically. They adapt to shelves, ledges, furniture. They carve territory in layers rather than distance. Urban life suits them naturally. During this period, the idea of the pet fully emerges. Animals are no longer primarily workers or protectors. They are companions, family members. This change deepens emotional bonds, but it also introduces expectations. Humans expect affection, responsiveness, consistency. Dogs meet these expectations easily. They already exist to connect. Cats challenge them. They offer affection selectively, on their own terms, and this contrast begins to shape cultural narratives. Dogs are praised, cats are misunderstood. Dogs are seen as loyal and loving. Cats are seen as distant or selfish. But this judgment overlooks something essential. Dogs evolved to please. Cats evolved to survive alone. Their behaviors are not moral choices, they are strategies. As psychology emerges as a field, humans begin examining their own emotional needs more closely. Loneliness becomes recognized as a problem. Stress becomes a condition. Anxiety becomes widespread. And once again, humans turn to animals instinctively. Dogs become emotional anchors. They provide routine. They offer physical contact. They respond visibly to human emotions. A dog's excitement upon reunion reinforces a sense of importance and belonging. This is powerful. Cats offer a quieter form of support. They do not demand emotional performance. They do not react intensely. They allow humans to exist without expectation. For some, this is deeply comforting. A cat's calm presence communicates acceptance without judgment. You do not need to be happy, you only need to be here. As scientific research expands, humans begin measuring these effects. They discover that interacting with dogs can lower stress hormones, that dogs respond to human voices and facial expressions with measurable changes in brain activity. Dogs are emotionally attuned. They synchronize with humans. Cats also affect stress, but differently. Their presence lowers blood pressure. Their purring promotes relaxation. Their predictability creates emotional safety. Through these findings, a clearer picture emerges. Dogs and cats support humans in different emotional states. Dogs help humans engage. Cats help humans endure. Dogs pull humans outward. Cats pull humans inward. As families change, animals fill new roles. People marry later, live alone more often, move frequently. In this shifting landscape, dogs and cats become constants. They provide continuity. Identity, home. Dogs often become surrogates for social connection. They facilitate interaction with strangers. They accompany humans into public spaces. They create opportunities for conversation and community. Cats often become companions for solitude. They share space without requiring explanation. They allow humans to withdraw without feeling alone. These roles are not accidental. They echo ancient patterns. Dogs once guarded camps and traveled with humans. Cats once lingered near stored food and quiet homes. Those instincts persist. As humans increasingly communicate through screens, physical presence becomes rare, touch becomes limited. Dogs respond by seeking closeness, lining, resting heads on knees, sleeping nearby. They offer physical grounding. Cats offer sensory grounding, the warmth of fur, the rhythm of breathing, the sound of purring. Both reconnect humans to the body. Over time, humans begin to speak about dogs and cats in deeply personal terms. They are not owned, they are adopted. They are not animals, they are family. This language reflects a profound shift. Humans no longer see themselves as separate from the bond, they see themselves within it. This shift also raises questions. Is devotion fair? Is dependence ethical? Dogs give themselves completely. They rely on humans for everything. Cats retain autonomy. They maintain boundaries. Which relationship is healthier? The answer is not simple because devotion can be beautiful, but it can also be fragile. Dogs suffer deeply when bonds are broken. Abandonment affects them profoundly. Their attachment, once a strength, becomes a source of pain. Cats also experience stress, but their independence buffers them. They grieve differently, they adjust, they endure. This difference highlights an important truth. Devotion has a cost. Humans begin to recognize responsibility. Not just ownership, but stewardship. Caring for dogs means understanding their emotional needs, consistency, presence, reassurance. Caring for cats means respecting autonomy, space, choice, patience. As societies become more aware of mental health, animals take on therapeutic roles. Dogs assist people with disabilities. They detect seizures. They guide the blind. They provide emotional support during trauma. Their devotion becomes functional compassion. Cats, too, serve therapeutic roles. They comfort the elderly, they soothe anxiety, they create calm environments in care facilities. Their presence reduces agitation, they do not perform tasks, they alter atmosphere. Both contributions matter, both save lives in different ways. As climate, technology, and culture continue to change, dogs and cats adapt again. Dogs learn new rules, new environments, new forms of communication. Cats navigate indoor worlds with increasing sophistication. They learn routines, signals, human moods. Despite their independence, cats are not disconnected. They are observant, attuned, selective. The ancient question returns again and again: who is closer to humans? The answer remains consistent. Dogs align their lives around humans. Cats align humans into their lives. Closeness can move in two directions. Both are valid. As humans age, animals become witnesses to life. They see children grow. They see relationships form and end. They remain when people leave. Dogs often grieve visibly. Cats grieve quietly, but both remember. They carry continuity when human lives fragment. At the end of long days, humans return home. Dogs greet them as if no time has passed. Cats acknowledge them as if time never mattered. These responses meet different emotional needs. One says you were missed, the other says you are safe. This balance is ancient. It reflects two strategies for survival. Bond tightly, remain adaptable. Humans have needed both. And perhaps that is why both dogs and cats endured. As we look back across thousands of years, the pattern is clear. Dogs walked into human lives through cooperation and trust. Cats slipped into human lives through opportunity and tolerance. Dogs changed themselves for humans. Cats remained themselves beside humans. Humans welcomed both. Now, standing in the present, the bond feels timeless, but it is not static. It continues to evolve. As humans change, so too will these relationships. Dogs will continue to seek connection. Cats will continue to seek balance, and humans will continue to find meaning in both. The future does not arrive all at once. It seeps in quietly, altering habits before beliefs, routines before values. And as human life continues to change, dogs and cats adapt once again, just as they always have. But this time the change is different. For the first time in history, humans are not simply reshaping their environments. They are reshaping their attention. Screens glow late into the night. Voices travel without bodies. Messages replace presence. Humans are more connected than ever before and yet more alone. And in this strange contradiction, the ancient bond with animals becomes not less important but more. Dogs notice immediately. They do not understand phones. They do not understand schedules that change without reason. What they understand is when humans are physically present but mentally absent. Dogs respond by trying harder. They nudge. Bring toys, they sit closer. They seek eye contact because eye contact has always meant connection. And when it is missing, dogs feel it. Cats notice too, but differently. They observe the stillness. They sense tension. They feel changes in routine, even subtle ones. Cats respond by adjusting their proximity. Sometimes they withdraw. Sometimes they come closer. They do not interrupt. They accompany. This quiet adaptability allows cats to coexist with distracted humans without demanding attention. It also allows them to survive emotional distance without suffering as visibly as dogs do. As human life becomes increasingly fragmented, animals take on new emotional weight. For many people, dogs and cats become the most consistent relationships in their lives. They are there in the morning, they are there at night. They witness moments that no one else does, private joys, silent griefs, unspoken fears. Animals do not ask for explanations, they accept presence as enough. Dogs, in particular, fill a growing emotional gap. They respond enthusiastically to human return even after brief absences. This reaction reassures humans of their importance. It says, "You matter, you were missed." In a world where human validation is often delayed, conditional, or absent, this response is powerful. Dogs do not measure worth by productivity or success. They measure it by presence. Cats offer a different reassurance. They do not celebrate return, they normalize it. Their response communicates something else. You belong here, nothing has changed. This steadiness provides emotional grounding. For humans overwhelmed by constant evaluation and change, this consistency becomes invaluable. As societies continue to shift, traditional family structures evolve. People live alone more frequently. They move often. They form smaller social circles. In this context, animals become emotional anchors. Dogs offer companionship that fills social space. Cats offer companionship that fills emotional space. Both address different aspects of modern loneliness. The question of dependence resurfaces. Is it healthy to rely on animals emotionally? The answer depends on understanding the nature of the bond. Dogs evolved to bond deeply with humans. Their emotional alignment is natural, not artificial. Cats evolved to coexist without dependence. Their presence offers support without emotional demand. When humans respect these differences, the bond remains balanced. When they project unrealistic expectations, tension arises. Dogs struggle most when humans expect them to adapt endlessly without support. They need routine, consistency, emotional availability. Without these, their devotion becomes stress. Cats struggle most when humans ignore their boundaries. They need choice, space, predictability. Without these, their trust erodes. Understanding this is key to preserving the bond into the future. As science advances, humans begin to explore animal cognition more deeply. They discover that dogs can recognize human words, gestures, and emotional cues with remarkable accuracy. Dogs can differentiate tones of voice. They can sense stress through scent. They respond to sadness differently than to anger. Their emotional intelligence is sophisticated, not human but deeply relational. Cats are studied too. Researchers discover that cats recognize their names, that they form secure attachments, that they experience stress when separated from familiar humans. But cats express emotions subtly. They mask vulnerability. They avoid confrontation. They manage stress through withdrawal rather than protest. This difference has often been misunderstood. Cats are not indifferent, they are cautious. As awareness grows, a shift begins. Humans start learning how to listen differently. To dogs through engagement and reassurance. To cats through observation and patience. The bond deepens when humans meet animals where they are, not where humans want them to be. Technology begins to intersect with companionship. Cameras allow humans to see pets remotely. Automatic feeders dispense food. Smart devices simulate presence. Dogs respond to voices through speakers. Cats respond more to environmental stability than digital interaction. Technology can assist, but it cannot replace physical presence. Animals still need bodies, still need warmth, still need shared space. As artificial intelligence and automation reduce human labor, time becomes available again. But time does not automatically become presence. Humans must choose how to spend it. Dogs thrive when time is shared, walks, play, training. Cats thrive when time is predictable. Quiet mornings, sunlit afternoons, uninterrupted rest. The future of the bond depends on intention. Climate change alters landscapes, extreme weather increases. Natural disasters become more frequent. In these moments, human priorities are revealed. Again and again, people risk their lives to save their animals. Dogs are carried through floodwaters. Cats are searched for in rubble. This behavior is not logical. It is emotional. It reflects the depth of the bond. Animals are not possessions. They are family. Dogs often respond heroically in these moments. They alert humans to danger. They guide. They stay close. Cats respond differently. They hide. They seek shelter. They survive quietly. Both strategies reflect their nature. Both save lives. As human populations age, animals take on new roles. They become companions for the elderly. Sources of routine, reasons to wake up. Dogs provide structure. Cats provide comfort. In care facilities, animals reduce loneliness, anxiety, and depression. Their presence improves quality of life, not through words, through being. As children grow up in increasingly digital environments, animals become teachers. Dogs teach empathy, responsibility, emotional awareness. Cats teach boundaries, consent, respect for autonomy. Children learn that affection cannot be forced, that relationships require understanding. These lessons are subtle but profound. As humans debate the future of society, animals remain grounded in the present. They do not worry about tomorrow, they respond to now. This presence is healing. It draws humans out of constant anticipation and regret into the moment. The ancient question arises once more. Why did dogs bind themselves so completely to humans? Because cooperation saved them. Why did cats remain independent? Because independence kept them alive. Both strategies worked, both endured. Humans benefited from both. Looking forward, the bond faces new challenges: urbanization, isolation, technological mediation, but it also holds new potential: greater understanding, better care, more ethical relationships. The future does not require choosing between dogs and cats. It requires honoring both. Dogs will continue to offer devotion. They will continue to align their lives with humans. They will forgive absence. They will celebrate return. They will love without condition. Cats will continue to offer presence. They will continue to share space. They will remain selective. They will offer comfort without obligation. Humans, in turn, must decide what kind of companions they wish to be. Will they offer time, attention, respect? The bond is reciprocal. It always has been. From the first wolves lingering near firelight, to the first cats slipping into granaries, to modern homes filled with quiet companionship, this story has never been about ownership. It has been about coexistence, about mutual benefit, about trust built slowly over time. As we stand at the edge of the future, one truth remains unchanged: humans are not meant to live alone. And for as long as we have existed, we have found companionship not only in each other, but in animals who chose to walk beside us. One chose us completely, one chose us conditionally, and we learned to love both. As human societies become more aware of emotional health, something subtle begins to shift in how animals are understood. For thousands of years, humans described animals in terms of function: what they could do, what they could provide, what purpose they served. But gradually, language changes. Humans begin speaking less about usefulness and more about feelings. Dogs are described as empathetic. Cats are described as soothing. These words matter. They signal a turning point. Animals are no longer just companions in survival. They are companions in emotional experience. Dogs respond strongly to this shift. When humans begin treating dogs as emotional beings, dogs lean into the role naturally. They already seek emotional feedback. They already read faces, tones, gestures. When humans talk to dogs, dogs listen not for meaning but for connection. They respond to rhythm, emotion, attention. They adjust behavior to match human moods. A quiet human receives a calm dog. An anxious human receives a vigilant one. Dogs mirror. This mirroring strengthens the bond even further. Cats respond more subtly. They do not mirror emotion directly. They absorb atmosphere. When tension fills a space, cats either remove themselves or soften it through stillness. They choose positions carefully, near but not intrusive, present but not demanding. Humans often misinterpret this as distance, but in reality it is emotional intelligence expressed through restraint. Cats do not escalate emotion, they stabilize it. As humans become more aware of trauma and stress, animals take on roles humans never anticipated. Dogs assist those with post-traumatic stress. They ground people during panic. They interrupt harmful thought cycles. They create routine when the world feels unpredictable. Their devotion becomes not just comforting but life-saving. Cats support trauma differently. They provide quiet companionship during recovery. They offer safe presence without conversation. They allow silence to exist without judgment. For people overwhelmed by interaction, this is invaluable. Over time, humans begin to notice something important. The way an animal loves affects the way a human heals. Dogs heal through connection. Cats heal through acceptance. Both meet different needs. As this understanding grows, humans begin to reevaluate old stereotypes. The idea that cats are cold begins to fade. The idea that dogs are simple begins to dissolve. People begin to recognize complexity. Dogs are emotionally rich. Cats are emotionally selective. Neither is lacking. They are simply different. As urban isolation increases, many humans find themselves living alone for long stretches of time. In these spaces, animals become witnesses. They observe daily routines. They notice changes. They react when patterns break. Dogs grow restless when humans withdraw. They encourage movement. Cats grow attentive when humans slow down. They remain nearby. Animals respond to human mental states long before humans articulate them. This responsiveness creates a sense of being seen, not evaluated. Not corrected, seen. For many humans, this is rare and deeply meaningful. Dogs, because of their devotion, often become emotional regulators. They remind humans to eat, to go outside, to sleep. Their needs create structure, and structure stabilizes. Cats, because of their independence, become emotional companions during unstructured time. They fill the gaps. They soften loneliness without filling every moment. They allow humans to exist without pressure. As more people come to understand these differences, they begin choosing companions intentionally, not based on trends, but based on temperament, lifestyle, emotional capacity. This marks a mature stage in the relationship. Humans are no longer projecting blindly, they are listening. As dogs and cats become integrated into therapy, education, and healthcare, their roles expand. Dogs assist children with developmental challenges. They create safe emotional bridges. They encourage trust. Cats appear in elder care and mental health settings. They reduce agitation. They promote calm. They create environments where people feel less alone. These roles reflect their natural tendencies. Dogs engage, cats settle. Despite this progress, challenges remain. Dogs still suffer when humans underestimate their emotional needs. Loneliness, lack of stimulation, and inconsistency cause distress. Cats still suffer when humans misinterpret independence as neglect. Ignoring a cat's need for stability can erode trust. The bond requires effort, understanding, respect. As humans become more mobile, animals travel more. Dogs adapt to new environments with human guidance. They look to their humans for reassurance. Cats experience stress during change. They rely heavily on familiar scents, spaces, and routines. This difference reveals something important. Dogs anchor to people, cats anchor to place. When humans move, dogs move emotionally. Cats move cautiously. This is why dogs often appear more visibly attached. Their attachment follows humans wherever they go. Cats' attachment is layered. It includes humans, but also environment, safety, predictability. Understanding this reduces frustration. It deepens compassion. As digital life accelerates, animals remain rooted in physical reality. They respond to touch, smell, sound, presence. They do not respond to images or status. This anchors humans to something real. Something immediate, something honest. Dogs respond strongly to voice. They differentiate praise from neutrality. They sense tension. They react. Cats respond more strongly to tone than words. They notice shifts. They adjust distance. They communicate through body language. Both require humans to pay attention in ways modern life often discourages. This attention is restorative. As humans age, animals witness decline. They notice slower movement, longer rest, changes in routine. Dogs often adjust by slowing down, staying close, remaining vigilant. Cats often adjust by becoming more present, sitting nearby, sleeping closer. Neither abandons, they adapt. In moments of grief, animals behave differently than humans. Dogs grieve openly. They search, they whine, they wait. Cats grieve quietly. They withdraw, they sleep more. They stay near familiar scents. Both forms of grief are real. Both reflect attachment. As humans process loss, animals often become stabilizing forces. They provide routine when structure collapses. They provide presence when words fail. They remind humans that life continues, not through optimism, but through continuity. Across cultures, the bond persists. Dogs remain symbols of loyalty in stories and art. Cats remain symbols of mystery and calm. These archetypes endure because they reflect lived experience. They are not inventions, they are observations. As scientific understanding deepens, humans realize something profound. Bond with dogs and cats is not sentimental, it is evolutionary. It shaped human survival, it shaped human psychology. It continues to shape human well-being. This realization elevates the relationship. It becomes something to protect. As ethical discussions expand, humans begin questioning responsibility. What do we owe animals who gave us so much? Dogs gave devotion. Cats gave balance. Both gave companionship. The answer begins to emerge. We owe them understanding, care. Respect. As laws change, animals gain recognition as sentient beings, not objects, not tools, but lives with needs and preferences. This legal recognition reflects a moral evolution, one that mirrors the emotional evolution that began thousands of years ago around firelight. Despite all advancements, the core of the bond remains unchanged. A dog still waits. A cat still watches. A human still finds comfort. This simplicity is powerful. As we move further into the future, one question quietly forms beneath all others. What does this bond say about humanity? Why did humans choose to keep these two animals close? Why not others? The answer lies not in intelligence or beauty, but in compatibility. Dogs met humans in movement. Cats met humans in stillness. Humans needed both. And so the story continues forward, layer by layer, generation by generation, not rushing toward an ending, not forcing a conclusion. Simply unfolding. Who is closer? Who is more devoted? Who loves more deeply? These questions are not really about dogs or cats. They are about how humans understand love. From the earliest days of human memory, devotion was tied to survival. To stay alive meant to stay connected. Those who were alone did not last long. Those who bonded did. Dogs embodied this truth immediately. Their ancestors survived by staying close, by cooperating, by forming packs where loyalty meant life. When dogs joined humans, they did not abandon this instinct. They redirected it. The pack became the family. The family became the center of the world. This is why dogs struggle with separation, not because they are weak, but because separation once meant death, and some instincts never fully fade. Cats come from a different survival story. Solitude did not threaten them, it protected them. Independence meant flexibility. Flexibility meant survival. When cats approached human settlements, they did not replace their instincts. They layered new ones on top. They learned which humans were safe, which spaces were reliable, which routines were predictable. Cats did not become dependent, they became selective. This selectivity is often misunderstood as emotional distance, but it is actually discernment. Humans, however, often measure love by visibility, by action, by sacrifice. Dogs excel here. They run toward danger. They place themselves between humans and threats. They stay even when staying costs them. This visible devotion aligns perfectly with human ideals of loyalty. It is dramatic, it is unmistakable, it is easy to recognize. Cats do not perform devotion, they practice it. They return, they remain, they choose familiarity over novelty. They stay near trusted humans during illness, grief, and exhaustion. They do not announce this choice, they simply make it. This quieter form of attachment requires attention to notice, and humans are not always attentive. Throughout history, humans have favored visible loyalty. Warriors were praised, martyrs remembered, sacrifice celebrated. Dogs fit easily into this narrative. Cats challenge it. They ask a different question. What if devotion does not require surrender? What if love does not need to be proven through loss? This question unsettles some humans and comforts others. As societies matured, emotional expression became more nuanced. Humans began to recognize that not all love looks the same. That restraint can be as meaningful as intensity. That presence can matter more than performance. In this shift, cats found deeper appreciation, not everywhere, not always, but increasingly. Dogs, meanwhile, remained consistent. They did not change how they loved. They continued to give fully, without hesitation, without calculation. This consistency is why dogs are often described as pure, not because they lack complexity, but because they do not withhold. Humans, in contrast, are conflicted. They desire closeness, but fear vulnerability. They want loyalty, but resist dependence. Dogs offer closeness without ambiguity. Cats offer closeness without pressure. Each meets different emotional needs. In moments of crisis, these differences become clearer. When humans face immediate danger, dogs react. They bark. They intervene. They act, cats withdraw, they hide, they seek safety. Neither response is wrong, they are adaptive. Dogs evolve to confront threats collectively. Cats evolve to survive by avoidance. Humans, watching these responses, assign meaning, courage, cowardice, loyalty, selfishness. But these judgments reveal more about human values than animal nature. As humans began living longer, experiencing extended periods of aging and decline, animals became long-term companions. Dogs often adjusted their energy to match aging humans. They slowed down, they stayed close, they became gentle. Cats often became more present, they slept nearby. They followed routines closely, they monitored space quietly. Both responded to vulnerability. In their own ways, humans often report feeling understood by animals during times when other humans fail them. This is not because animals comprehend language. It is because animals respond to emotional signals without judgment. Dogs respond with engagement. Cats respond with steadiness. Both create safety. As the science of attachment advanced, parallels became clear. Dogs form attachments similar to human children. They seek reassurance. They protest separation. They rejoice in reunion. Cats form attachments more similar to adult human relationships. They value consistency. They maintain boundaries. They balance closeness with autonomy. Neither is superior. They are different strategies for bonding. Humans often prefer dogs during periods of transition. New environments, new routines, new challenges. Dogs help humans adjust, they anchor emotionally. Cats are often preferred during periods of consolidation, stability, reflection, recovery. They support inward focus. These preferences are not random, they reflect emotional alignment. Humans seek companions who complement their internal state. The restless gravitate toward dogs, the introspective gravitate toward cats. Some humans move between these states over a lifetime, and their preferences change accordingly. As children grow, their relationships with animals shape emotional development. Dogs teach external responsibility, consistency, empathy through action. Cats teach internal responsibility, respect, empathy through restraint. Both lessons are essential, but not always taught equally. In families, animals often serve as emotional regulators. Dogs absorb energy. They diffuse tension through play. They interrupt conflict with presence. Cats absorb quiet. They soften emotional edges. They create calm zones. These roles are not trained, they are instinctive. As humans increasingly live in artificial environments, animals maintain connection to natural rhythms. Dogs respond to weather, daylight, seasonal changes. They remind humans of cycles. Cats respond to temperature, light, space. They respond to subtle environmental shifts. This sensitivity reconnects humans to the physical world. Throughout history, humans have asked which animal loves more, but love is not a quantity. It is a style. Dogs love expansively. Cats love precisely. Dogs give without measuring. Cats give with intention. Humans experience both differently. Dogs often forgive immediately. They release tension quickly. This capacity for emotional reset makes them resilient companions. Cats remember. They do not hold grudges, but they do store information. Trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. This memory protects them and teaches humans accountability. As humans become more emotionally literate, they begin appreciating both forms of love. The exuberant and the reserved, the expressive and the subtle, the unconditional and the conditional. They begin to understand that conditions do not negate affection, they define boundaries. In modern relationships, humans often struggle with boundaries. They either give too much or withdraw too far. Dogs demonstrate total giving. Cats demonstrate balanced giving. Both models offer lessons. Neither should be copied blindly, but both can be learned from. The question of closeness also shifts with time. Closeness is no longer just physical proximity. It is emotional attunement. Dogs attune by synchronizing. They align their emotional state with humans. Cats attune by stabilizing. They maintain calm regardless of human turbulence. Both forms create closeness. As humans reflect on these relationships, a deeper realization emerges. Dogs and cats are not substitutes for human connection. They are complements. They fulfill aspects of connection that humans often struggle to provide consistently. Dogs offer unwavering presence. Cats offer unwavering acceptance. In times of joy, dogs amplify emotion. They celebrate. They share excitement. Cats observe joy. They remain present without escalation. They ground it, both in rich experience. In times of sorrow, dogs attempt to fix. They nudge, they cling, they seek interaction. Cats sit quietly, they share silence. They do not interrupt grief, they accompany it. Both responses are valuable, depending on what the human needs. As this understanding deepens, the comparison becomes less competitive. The question shifts, not who is better, but what role does each play. Why did humans keep both? The answer becomes clearer, because no single form of companionship is sufficient. Humans are complex. They need both engagement and rest, both reassurance and autonomy, both movement and stillness. Dogs and cats endured because they met these needs organically. They did not need to be forced, they fit. As the story continues, the comparison will grow even more nuanced. We will look closer at moments where these bonds are tested, at separation, at loss, at endings, and how dogs and cats respond when the humans they love are gone. But for now, we pause here. Edge of understanding, not concluding, not resolving, simply seeing more clearly than before. When a human disappears from a dog's life, the world changes completely. Dogs do not understand permanence the way humans do. They understand routine, presence, return. So when return does not happen, dogs wait. They wait by doors, by windows, along familiar paths. They listen for footsteps that never come. This waiting is not symbolic, it is literal. Dogs expect the pattern to resume. And when it does not, confusion settles in before grief ever does. Many dogs stop eating after loss. Some lose interest in play, some withdraw, others become restless, pacing endlessly. Their distress is not abstract, it is physical. The human was not just loved, the human was structure, schedule, safety, meaning. When that disappears, dogs struggle to reorganize their world. Their devotion, so often celebrated, becomes a source of vulnerability. Cats experience loss differently. When a human disappears, cats notice immediately. They search quietly. They investigate rooms. They revisit familiar sleeping places. They sniff clothing, but they do not wait in the same way. They do not expect return. They process absence as a change in territory. Something is missing, something is wrong, and then they adapt. This adaptation is not indifference. Cats often show subtle signs of grief. They sleep more, they vocalize at unusual times. They become more withdrawn or unexpectedly more affectionate, but their grief unfolds inward. They do not protest, they endure. Their survival strategy has always required emotional containment, and so they grieve privately. Humans witnessing these differences often misunderstand them. A dog's grief is obvious, a cat's grief is quiet, and quiet grief is often mistaken for none at all. But studies and long observation tell a different story. Cats form strong attachments. They simply do not collapse when those attachments are broken. They reorganize. This difference in grief mirrors the difference in bonding. Dogs externalize connection, cats internalize it. Dogs attach through presence, cats attach through familiarity. Both bonds are real, they just break differently. Humans often find a dog's grief heartbreaking because it mirrors their own. Waiting, longing, refusal to accept. Cats' grief can be unsettling because it appears controlled, contained. It forces humans to confront a truth they often avoid. That loss does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like silence. As humans age, this difference becomes more relevant. Elderly individuals often worry about what will happen to their animals after they are gone. Dogs, dependent on human structure, require careful planning. Cats, more adaptable, often transition more easily. But ease does not mean lack of loss, it means resilience. When humans disappear suddenly, dogs often remain near familiar locations. There are countless accounts of dogs returning to places where their humans were last seen, waiting for years. These stories endure because they capture something profound. Dogs believe in reunion, even when logic suggests otherwise. Cats rarely do this. They return to what remains stable, a home, a routine, a scent. Their belief is not in reunion, it is in continuity. Humans project meaning onto these responses. They call dogs faithful, they call cats cold, but these labels say more about human preference than animal truth. Dogs express grief outwardly, cats absorb it. Both responses are adaptive, both are honest. As humans confront mortality, animals often become mirrors. Dogs reflect the pain of attachment. Cats reflect the necessity of adaptation. Neither response is easier. They simply guide humans through grief differently. In households where one animal remains after another passes, these differences become visible again. Dogs often search for lost companions. They whine, they wait, they show confusion. Cats often notice absence quietly. They may occupy new spaces, change sleeping patterns, reassert territory, not out of dominance, but out of recalibration. Their world has changed. They adjust it. Humans often grieve alongside animals. They see their pain reflected. They find comfort in shared loss. A dog's closeness during grief can be overwhelming, but also grounding. A cat's presence during grief can feel distant, but also stabilizing. Both offer companionship through mourning. Over time, humans begin to realize something essential. Devotion does not determine resilience. Dogs are devoted but fragile in loss. Cats are reserved but resilient. This does not make one bond deeper than the other. It makes them different in consequence. People move through life stages. These qualities matter. During times of upheaval, dogs struggle more. They need reassurance, stability, consistency. Cats struggle during disruption too, but adapt faster once stability returns. Understanding this allows humans to care more effectively. As modern life continues to fragment families and communities, animals often become the only consistent witnesses to human lives. They see routines change. They observe emotional cycles. They notice absence. They respond. Dogs respond by holding on. Cats respond by adjusting. Both responses preserve connection in different ways. When humans leave home for the last time through death or permanent separation, animals remain behind. Dogs often need time, patience, and new routines to recover. Cats often need space, familiarity, and gentle consistency. Humans who understand this difference can ease suffering. Humans who do not may unintentionally deepen it. This is where responsibility becomes clearest. To love an animal is not just to enjoy their presence. It is to understand their needs, especially when change comes. Dogs need reassurance that connection still exists. Cats need reassurance that stability still exists. Both need care. As humans begin to recognize animals as emotional beings, conversations around grief and loss expand. Veterinarians discuss behavioral changes. Caregivers adjust routines. People learn to interpret subtle signs. This awareness marks a new chapter, one where the bond is not romanticized but respected. Even in loss, animals continue teaching humans. Dogs teach the cost of deep attachment. Cats teach the power of adaptation. Humans need both lessons. As time passes, animals often recover in ways humans do not expect. Dogs learn new routines. They form new bonds, though old ones are never replaced. Cats settle into new patterns. They carry memory quietly. Either forgets, but both continue. This continuation is important. It reminds humans that life does not end with loss, it changes. Animals embody this truth without philosophy, they live it. From the earliest myths to modern films, humans have turned animals into symbols, not because animals asked to be symbols, but because humans needed them to be. Dogs became heroes, cats became mysteries, and through these roles, humans revealed their own values. Dogs appear in stories as protectors. They stand at gates, they guard the vulnerable, they guide souls. Across cultures, dogs are depicted as companions who cross boundaries between wilderness and home, between life and death. This symbolism did not arise by accident. It reflects lived experience. Dogs walked with humans through danger. They alerted them to threats. They stayed when others fled. Storytelling simply amplified what people already knew. Cats, meanwhile, became symbols of liminality. They appear between worlds. Between light and dark, between domestic and wild. In stories, cats slip through shadows, observe without judgment, and survive where others fail. This symbolism also reflects reality. Cats lived near humans but never fully within human control. They moved freely. They chose their moments. They embodied independence in a way few other animals did. Humans tend to glorify qualities they admire but struggle to embody. Dogs represent loyalty, courage, and self-sacrifice. Cats represent autonomy, self-possession, and restraint. These traits resonate differently depending on cultural context. In times of war, dogs become heroes. They deliver messages, they guard camps, they save lives. Stories of dogs risking everything for humans circulate widely. They are celebrated because they reflect an ideal: to give oneself completely, to act without hesitation, to remain loyal beyond reason. Cats rarely appear in war stories. Not because they were absent, but because their contributions were quieter. They controlled vermin, they protected food stores, they maintained stability behind the scenes. Their heroism was not dramatic, it was preventative. And humans are less skilled at celebrating what does not announce itself. As literature evolved, dogs were written as characters with clear emotional arcs. They loved, they lost, they waited. Cats were written as observers. They watched human folly. They moved through stories without being changed by them. This contrast shaped public perception. Dogs became relatable, cats became enigmatic. Children's stories reinforced these patterns. Dogs were friends, cats were tricksters. Dogs helped protagonists, cats tested them. Neither portrayal was wrong, but neither was complete. As mass media expanded, these narratives solidified. Films portrayed dogs as unwavering companions, cats as aloof side characters. This repetition influenced expectations. People expected dogs to love visibly. They expected cats not to. When reality diverged, misunderstanding followed. In truth, both animals remained consistent with their nature. Dogs continued to attach deeply. Cats continued to choose selectively. The stories did not change the animals. They changed how humans interpreted behavior. As psychology entered popular culture, these interpretations began to soften. People started asking why animals behaved the way they did. They began recognizing temperament rather than judging character. This shift allowed cats to be seen differently, not as distant, but as intentional. Dogs, meanwhile, were recognized as emotionally complex, not simple, not predictable. Their devotion was no longer seen as mindless. It was understood as attachment. And attachment, humans knew, was powerful but vulnerable. As social values shifted, independence became more admired. Self-sufficiency gained respect. Boundaries became healthier. In this cultural moment, cats found renewed appreciation. Their autonomy resonated. Their calm presence felt grounding. Their refusal to perform felt honest. At the same time, devotion remained deeply valued. In an increasingly disconnected world, loyalty felt rare. Dogs embodied it effortlessly. They offered what humans often struggled to find in each other: consistency, presence, commitment. These shifting values did not replace one another, they layered. Humans learned to appreciate both dependence and independence, attachment and autonomy, and in doing so they learned to appreciate both dogs and cats more fully. As people reflected on their relationships with animals, they noticed something else. The stories they told about animals often mirrored the stories they told about themselves. Those who valued loyalty praised dogs. Those who valued freedom praised cats. Those who needed both kept both. Animals became reflections of identity. In modern storytelling, this complexity began to appear. Cats were no longer just tricksters. They were companions, comforters, observers of human vulnerability. Dogs were no longer just heroes. They were sensitive, anxious, emotionally attuned. These richer portrayals reflected deeper understanding. As humans faced global uncertainty, animals took on symbolic weight again. Dogs represented stability, routine, reliability. Cats represented adaptability, calm, survival in changing conditions. Both symbols were needed. In times of crisis, humans often returned to stories of animals. They sought reassurance. They sought examples of resilience. Animals provided both, not through speeches, but through continuity. The cultural divide between dogs and cats also revealed something else. Humans often project moral frameworks onto animals, good versus bad, loyal versus selfish, but animals do not operate within moral hierarchies. They operate within survival strategies. Understanding this allows humans to release judgment, and judgment, once released, allows deeper connection. As humans began to share stories globally, cultural differences in animal perception became clearer. Some cultures revered cats, others distrusted them. Some cultures depended heavily on dogs, others kept them at a distance. These differences reflected environmental needs, not inherent truths. Where rodents threatened survival, cats were valued. Where protection and herding were essential, dogs were honored. Love followed usefulness, then outgrew it. Over time, usefulness faded, but affection remained. This transition is crucial. It marks the point where animals were no longer kept because they were needed. They were kept because they mattered. This shift also introduced ethical questions. If animals matter emotionally, what do humans owe them? Comfort, care, understanding, not projection, not control. This realization continues shaping laws, practices, and attitudes. As storytelling continues to evolve, animals remain central figures. They appear in narratives about healing, recovery, connection. They help humans explore vulnerability without fear of judgment. They allow humans to experience affection safely. Dogs and cats do not tell stories, but they inspire them. And in these stories, humans work through their own contradictions, their longing for closeness, their fear of dependence, their desire for freedom, their need for connection. As this chapter closes, one thing becomes clear. The comparison between dogs and cats was never about competition. It was about contrast that helped humans understand themselves. And now, as we arrive at the final part of this long and quiet journey, we slow down even more, because endings are not meant to rush. They are meant to settle. We have traveled from firelit camps on open plains, through villages and cities, through myths, loss, devotion, and survival, and all along the way, two animals have remained beside us. Not the same, not equal in behavior, but equally enduring. When humans first asked the question, who came first, the answer was simple. Dogs did. They walked beside us tens of thousands of years ago. They followed us into cold nights, across dangerous terrain, through hunger and fear. They did not wait for civilization. They helped create the conditions for it. Dogs were there when humans had nothing but fire, stone tools, and each other. They guarded sleep. They warned of danger. They shared warmth. They did not need to be invited. They chose us. When humans asked who stayed closest the longest, the answer remained the same. Dogs stayed. They moved when we moved. They stopped when we stopped. They adapted their bodies, their minds, and their emotions to human life. They learned our gestures. They learned our moods. They learned our silence. Dogs did not just live near humans. They aligned their lives around us. When humans asked who is more devoted, the answer again pointed in one direction. Dogs give devotion openly. They wait, they protect, they forgive, they stay. They do not calculate cost. They do not protect themselves emotionally. They attach completely. And in doing so, they give humans a form of love that is rare in the natural world. Unconditional presence. But then there was another question, a quieter one. Who chose humans rather than needing them? And here the answer changed. Cats arrived later, much later. They did not follow us through wilderness. They waited until we built homes, until we stored food, until we created warmth and stability. And then they appeared, not asking, not submitting, simply staying. Cats did not give themselves fully. They kept something for themselves, their independence, their boundaries, their silence. They did not bend to human will. They coexisted. And this too mattered because humans learned something different from cats. That closeness does not require surrender. That affection does not need performance. That presence can be quiet. Dogs taught humans how to bond. Cats taught humans how to respect. Dogs taught loyalty. Cats taught autonomy. Dogs taught connection. Cats taught balance, and humans needed all of it. Across history, cultures loved dogs and cats differently. Ancient Egypt worshipped cats not because they obeyed, but because they embodied balance and protection. Warrior cultures honored dogs not because they were gentle, but because they were brave and loyal. Farmers valued both, homes welcomed both, and over time usefulness faded but affection remained. In the modern world, this bond became emotional rather than practical. Dogs became companions of movement, routine, and connection. Cats became companions of stillness, comfort, and calm. Dogs pulled humans outward, cats pulled humans inward, and modern humans, overwhelmed, distracted, and often lonely, needed both directions. When humans lost people they loved, dogs grieved openly. They waited, they searched, they broke hearts with their loyalty. Cats grieved quietly, they withdrew, they adapted, they endured, and in these differences humans learned something profound. That love does not look the same in every heart. That grief does not sound the same in every soul. Dogs showed humans the beauty and the cost of deep attachment. Cats showed humans the strength of resilience. Neither was better, both were necessary. So when we ask now, after tens of thousands of years, who loved humans more, the answer depends on what we mean by love. If love is devotion without limits, then dogs. If love is choosing to stay without obligation, then cats. If love is presence, then both. Dogs gave humans loyalty when the world was dangerous. Cats gave humans peace when the world became crowded. Dogs shaped how humans survived. Cats shaped how humans rested. And humanity became what it is today with both beside us. This story was never about choosing one over the other. It was about understanding why both endured, why out of all the animals on earth these two remained, why even now when humans have technology, cities, and endless noise, we still sleep better when a dog lies nearby. We still feel calmer when a cat settles close. One followed us from the wild, one waited for us to build a home, and both stayed, and that is the end of our journey. If you enjoyed this long, calm story, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future documentaries like this one. Leave a comment below and tell us what you think. Are you more of a dog person, a cat person, or someone who loves both? And let us know where you're watching from. Thank you for spending this quiet time with us. Good night.